Chapter 1 Kana swam beneath the frozen surface of Maza Pond. The sentinels for the Jabari king Mbaku were unaware that he was under their feet. But how could they? The crystal forest was so dark that a giant white gorilla was able to stand inches from its prey without detection. Only hours ago, Kana had made love to Shuri and taken care of their babies. His good day was spoiled when he was told that the Jabari king threatened to burn down his parents' home if they failed to disavow Kana, Shuri, and their children. Kana was going to give the king an appropriate response. As king of the Jabari, Mbaku oversaw the initiation of teens into adulthood in the Crystal Forest. Once a teen presented Mbaku with the flower of the Tangkigja plant that was deep within white gorilla territory, then that teen was seen as being able to take on adult responsibilities. Kana used a laser to cut through the ice and he surfaced in the ritual center. He had a flashback of presenting the flower to the then Jabari king and the man's eyes showed disappointment. The initiation ritual was a day away and it was customary for the king to be at the ritual grounds 24 hours prior to have it prepared. The place was lit by the injection of a heated solution into the surrounding crystal trees. "Mbaku!" shouted Kana. "He is not here," said a one-eyed man in ivory like a Moor. Kana recognized him as Ngoma, the clan's mystic advisor. "Then fetch him," said Kana. "No. He has more important matters to deal with." "Strange fire," said Ngoma. "Speak to me instead and I will decide if your trespass is worth his time. I did not come to speak to a subordinate, a gopher, or a lackey. I am here to speak with Mbaku. But I can make an example out of you so that way he comes to me," said Kana. "I am giving you to the count of 10 to get him here." Ngoma's eye shimmered and Kana shouted the numbers so loud that creatures in the darkness beyond the ritual ground were disturbed. "Mursa! Mursa! Mursa!" chanted Mbaku in the darkness before he stepped into the light. "Well, isn't it the misfit cub trespassing on Jabari land? Has that scandalous woman that you wifed put you out? What need does she have of you now that you have sired her children and caused your family's ancient gifts to be handed over to her? What is Shuri and T'Challa's dog doing in my land? You defile this place with your presence," said Mbaku. The Jabari king was 7 feet in height as compared to Kana's 6 feet. Mbaku was accompanied by 7 men of similar physique to him. "Neither the living nor the dead can threaten my mother and get away with it," said Kana. "I came to kick your ass. And for mentioning my wife and children, I will give you an even worse beatdown than before. You truly are a misfit. I am in the middle of a plan that was started 900 years ago, generation upon generation have contributed to this plan which culminates with me. But here you are trying to force your agenda into the mix. I wonder if you passed those misfit genes onto your." Kana fired several rounds from his pistol at Mbaku, who quickly vanished due to meta-human speed. Kana threw up a flare that exploded above his head. The bright flash impeded Mbaku as he reappeared above Kana. Kana dropped on the ground and turned on his commando suit's invisibility field. Mbaku landed loudly on the ice next to Kana. Being so close gave Kana the opportunity to stab his foe's hamstrings, which he did with a large knife. Mbaku swung his club with ferocity and it knocked Kana through a tree. Mbaku rushed at him, so Kana detonated the bombs that he placed under the pond. Then he threw a metal marble into the water which produced an electrical discharge. Mbaku fought through the shock and pushed towards Kana but succumbed to his injuries inches from Kana's feet. "Enough," said Ngoma while he floated above the pond. He pointed in Kana's direction and the invisibility field was disrupted. Ngoma clenched his fists and the unconscious bodies of Mbaku along with his guardsmen levitated out of the pond. "You have made your point, strange fire," said Ngoma. "Have I? He still breathes and as long as he lives my family will be threatened in Jabari lands," said Kana. "Mbaku died at childbirth and I revived him. He died at the hands of a white gorilla in his initiation and I revived him. Why? Because he has glorious work to do, said Ngoma. What are you talking about? Asked Kana. Why is it that out of the 18 clans of Wakanda that the Jabari have been so independent-minded? While other clans remain docile under the Black Panther clan, the Jabari have plotted to be free, said Ngoma. I am a commander of Wakanda's military. I have seen the firepower. An armed separatist move by the Jabari will end in the needless loss of life on our side, said Kana. Our side? I am still Jabari no matter what anyone else may think, said Kana. Are you now? Well, let me tell you a story and your decision in the end will prove if you are undoubtedly a Jabari and as to why M'Baku must live, said Ngoma. Northwest India 900 years ago Baba Ghor faced a crisis. The compatriots of the demoness that he killed upon his arrival from Ethiopia disrupted his trading city and it affected his clients in Mozambique, South China, and Thailand. His mercenaries from East Africa, the Middle East and South India were badly defeated in the last battle. The enemy also took losses, so it gave Baba Ghor enough time to plan his next move. His sister came to him in the day while he was in deep thought about the situation. The 2 tigers that followed him growled as the woman approached. He told them to hush. You should put chains on them, they are man-eaters, said the sister. In time, said a tired Baba Ghor. Have you ever heard of Wakanda? Asked the sister. No, but you remember stories about the Vibranium coast where ships disappeared. Yes, replied Baba Ghor. Wakanda is the Vibranium coast, said the sister. Now that he thought of it, he may have heard about it in his youth on the Middle Eastern merchant ships. Vibranium was the name given to the metal that made up the daggers and spears that were found on the dead bodies that were common in that region. Brother, I will go to the Wakandans and ask for their assistance, said the sister. It is better that I go so that they will see in person who they will be laying down their lives for, said Baba Ghor. Governance of the city is yours until my return. I was going to offer them the Hanuman treasure as payment for their services, said the sister. I doubt that gold and rubies will entice them, but a war trophy should. Baba Ghor concurred and within a week his ship sailed to the Vibranium coast. He and one of his tigers were placed in a rowboat. He took the boat to the river mouth which poured into the Indian Ocean. 2 ritualistic war faces were carved out of rocks, half a mile away from the shore. The war faces formed a gateway that Baba Ghor stopped in front of. Recent stories about Wakanda stated that the killings usually started after the gateway was passed. Baba Ghor stood and raised his official seal to show the war faces that he was a legitimate ruler. I am Baba Ghor. I ask a favor of the renowned warriors of Wakanda to fight in a just battle against the demons that threaten my city. Before coming from the ship, he decided that half an hour was sufficient time for a response from the Wakandans and he was prepared to leave if there was no answer. He sat in the boat and waited until the time ran out. Suddenly his tiger growled at the water, it jumped in and was pulled under. A great heat as though the sun had come down on Baba Ghor was emitted from the war faces, then there was a flash. Baba Ghor fell back, 2 large men climbed into the boat and sprayed a chemical into his face. He felt drowsy. The men took him into the water and carried him to a hatch that was in the reef below. Once inside, he was wrapped in a silvery blanket that was warm and he was carried through a tunnel then made to kneel before a panther-suited man. Behind the man was an enormous Black Panther statue. Baba Ghor's seal was taken from him and given to the man. How would I know if this is not a forgery? Asked the man. I wish to know who addresses me so that I can give a proper answer since I am here to speak to Wakanda's ruler and not a subordinate, said Baba Ghor. You speak to Tishenga the Black Panther and King of Wakanda. I am Baba Ghor. I was born in Ethiopia, travelled to Mecca and then went to India where I am the ruler of a prosperous city. I am in a war against the demons that claim my land as their territory. I need warriors to finish them off once and for all. In return I will give you an artifact that is renowned from the kingdom of Japan and throughout Asia. It is called the treasure of Hanuman the immortal warrior. Wakandans are not mercenaries, said the Black Panther. Please reconsider, as the lives of women and children are at stake. Wakanda also has its horrors to deal with. That is why we live in isolation. We need all of our warriors here, so we cannot help you, said the Black Panther. I understand. Meanwhile, the Jabari soldier who aided in the capture of Baba Ghor contacted the Jabari queen with a slender mystical crystal. The queen of the Jabari decided that they will assist Baba Ghor to gain a foreign ally of their own. It was her belief that the Black Panthers had slowly become autocratic over time. Case in point, Baba Ghor as a ruler should have been brought before the Council of Clans. Tell Baba Ghor that Greka of the Jabari will meet him at the Seychelles, said the queen. 12 hours later, Baba Ghor stroked the back of his tiger until he was alerted by his vice-captain that 4 longboats approached the ship. He stepped outside the cabin and saw what the vice-captain spoke of. Men and women rowed the strange boats that pierced through the waves. The oars folded into compact cylinders, and the Jabari used some kind of adhesive on their fists to climb up Baba Ghor's ship. The last Jabari on each boat rolled up the vessel into a large octagon-like backpack, much like how a snail carries its home on its back. All the Jabari were 7 feet tall, and Baba Ghor's crew cautiously stayed on the opposite side of the ship. The silence in which the Jabari took the ship was eerie. Greka presented himself to Baba Ghor, and then they spoke in private. No one must know that we are Wakandan. Order your crew to say that the expedition to Wakanda was a failure. We will not be seen upon your arrival at the city. Instead, we will publicly join you on the battlefield and be referred to as the Death Tigers, after which the city will forever be invited to the Jabari, said Greka. But I want to give you the Hanuman treasure, said Baba Ghor. We do not require it, but you can still pretend that it was given to us to trick your enemies, said Greka. Question: why was the name Death Tigers chosen? Greka pointed to the great cat in the corner and he said, my queen thought it best, since it seems that you can control tigers and people will believe that it is probable for you to call upon an army of tiger men. Indeed, said Baba Ghor. How is security at your residence? Are you spied upon? Asked Greka. I don't think so, replied Baba Ghor. You should take precautions by not being vocal about our battle strategies. Something else is on my mind. Wakanda's king is not aware of your disobedience. Wakanda's internal affairs has nothing to do with you, said Greka. Later, Baba Ghor warned his crew that execution was the penalty for revealing the presence of the Wakandans. A gracious wind took the ship home quickly. It was a dejected Baba Ghor and crew that disembarked from the ship. He told his sister that the mission was a failure when she met him on the port. He was not sure if to write down the secret then give it to her or whisper it in her ear. I should have gone, she said softly. I know, sister, said Baba Ghor. How is the city? 2 weeks after, on the final day of battle, the demon army decimated Baba Ghor's mercenaries and advanced on both him and his sister. As the enemy came closer, Baba Ghor blew his horn and a mystery group attired in tiger claw prints stormed the rear of the enemy's left flank and went for the demon commander. The Death Tigers moved at a meta-human pace and fought with such ferocity that they overwhelmed the demon and killed him. His demonic forces vanished with his demise. Meanwhile, the Jabari queen met secretly with the king of Wakanda. I am pregnant and the child is ours, she said. What will you tell him? That you and I made a mistake and it only happened once. That is the truth. How do you think he will respond? He loves me and I know he will accept the child as his. You are lucky to have such a husband. Let us be frank. You and I care nothing for each other, and it was indiscipline on our parts that has brought us to this point, said the Jabari queen. But it is still my child. I have responsibilities for him or her. The child is also the heir to the throne and the Black Panther mantle, said the king. Then disavow the child because he or she is also heir to the mighty Jabari throne and its great secrets. I cannot do that. You must, and in return I will give you control of my death tigers that I sent with Baba Ghor. You did what? For centuries the Black Panthers have relied on foreign spies and that is all they do, spy. There are creatures and groups out there that can potentially hurt Wakanda and we need a proactive strike force to eliminate them. My death tigers are that force and the Babagura expedition was a test. You see, unlike the Black Panthers, the Jabari share their unnatural powers with the entire clan. Therefore we can do twice as more than a single Black Panther. And you want me to barter my child for such a frivolous thing? Asked the king. Yes. We are trading responsibilities. I get full rights to the child and you get the means of keeping our country permanently safe, replied the Jabari queen. It is a rational choice. Present day the Crystal Forest Kana doubted Ngoma's story. Boy, Wakanda is over 10,000 years old. Did you really think that you and Shuri was the only high-profile sexual relationship to occur between the Jabari and the Black Panther groups? Behold the direct descendant of the secret union between a Wakandan king and a Jabari queen, said Ngoma, and he lifted M'Baku higher. Kana tried to stand but the earlier strike from M'Baku had damaged his ribs. He suspected that Ngoma had a good reason for revealing the story to him. You blackmailed M'Baku, said Kana. That would be pointless. I want a pure-blood Jabari on the throne in preparation for an event that is pertinent to Jabari lore, said Ngoma. The true ruler is presently exiled with the Death Tigers, but that changes today.